Welcome back, everyone. It's the Aces NBA show. I've got two clowns on my right that are joining me every single week, and they don't need an introduction because everybody should know who you two are, especially after the breaking news. We have a housekeeping segment off the top.
Oh.
True or false, the Prime Minister has requested a pic with our man Goebbels.
I would normally say false, by the way, but I've just got this inkling because I saw you. And by the way, I was mid-text to both of you once I saw that Jeff had posted on his Instagram, which, by the way, doing phenomenal work since you got it back, I must say.
Thank you, Pistol.
I saw how many you had, and I'm thinking, I was like, geez, if we don't feature here, we're stiff, Tommy. We did feature, but so did the PM. What's going on there?
That's true. The PM, it's actually a funny story. So I was doing a radio interview about a month or so ago, and the PM was sitting in there before us, and I asked his security detail, can we get a selfie with the PM when he comes out of the room? Anyway, he finishes his interview, but then his guy comes out and goes, the PM wants a selfie with you.
Turn it up.
Swear to God.
Turn it up.
Swear to God, that
world
story
we
is
live
true.
in.
And then he wanted to take a selfie of me and Ree and send it to his partner.
Okay, now we're clear.
And then he posted it on his own Instagram.
Hang
What
on,
was he
there's a
talking
cap.
about? Was he talking about marriage at
There's
first
a caveat
sight?
there.
Hey, what's
I don't
wrong?
He wanted a selfie with Ree. That's where it was at.
That might be true.
That might be true.
Inserter alert.
Oh, that sneaky devil. What was he like as a bloke?
No, he's a good fella. He showed us a picture of his dog on his bed. He's nice.
What the fuck is going on?
He was a
there?
big fan.
Pistol, I thought he was going to say he showed you a picture. Is that what he showed you, did he?
And Pistol also, and you guys,
Call policy, nothing.
Didn't show you the breaking news of the NBL and what's coming soon or nothing like that. Just
there's riveting stuff. His dog laying on the bed.
what kind of dogs he got?
I don't even remember. Some small white thing.
What's the security?
Oh, we need to
Pause.
keep moving. We need to keep moving on. We're here to talk about NBA and the basketball, and it's been unbelievable. This series, it's going to 7, fellas. We hope it goes to 7. You can't doubt this Pacers team. We're going to talk about this everything, I guess. But to start off, we need to talk about last week because there's a segment here that you've asked me to call receipts. I have receipts and I need to bring them up. So do you want to kick this segment off that you've asked to put on the run sheet, Jeffrey?
Tommy, when you go against popular opinion like I did last week, I copped a lot of flack in the comments section for saying that Indiana had a better bench. And guess what? They do. And I've got some receipts here. And I'm going to start with, I'll just do 3. I'm going to start with Love of the Game Oz, which is a basketball podcast, not as good as ours, obviously, because they don't know what they're talking about. He said, stay off the weed.
Stay off the weed.
Anyway, the next one, we got Brookstagram 18. He said, you should never be allowed to make a statement again. That is the worst take of 2025. Is it, Brookstagram? I don't think it is, brother. And the last one, and this is a bit of a cowardly act. This is from Jason Corn Francis, who has 0 followers. So it's someone's burner account. And they could be sitting on this bench next to me. I don't know. But they said, this is the most ridiculous take I've ever heard.
Now, by the way, being in Australian sports media, for that to be the biggest take of the week, if they've ever heard it, that can't be. There's a lot going on. I understand that's fair play. You've come out, you've copped an absolute hiding, and the bench from the Pacers today was phenomenal.
It was.
Would I change my opinion? Not just yet, but it'd be very close. Like right now, you got the stats to back it up, Tommy. The bench is so important in this series, but that was unbelievably impressive. I didn't expect it. I knew they were capable of it, but geez, it was good.
The worst part was our social media team at North American Aces decided to post that after game 2. And I think Wiggins went bananas off the bench. So everyone thought, what an absolute clown this bloke was. But I thought game 1, the Pacers actually won that battle. We're not talking bench here. But today, let's just talk about game 3. The Pacers, 49 points off the bench. OKC, just the 18. But it wasn't just the points. There was steals, there was assists, there was rebounds. I mean, we could talk about TJ McConnell. We'll get into that later, but we can talk about all their players. But Mathurin, someone that we spoke about last week, how he needs to step up. He was enormous, boys. I think he was shooting at 75%.
He's been like falling out of the rotation the whole playoffs. We've seen like the peaks and troughs of all his scoring and all that. The dude likes to score, right?
66.7%.
Now we know the Pacers, they have their structure, they have certain guys, they have the hierarchy of scoring built on defense and all of that. Sometimes you just need someone to come in and chuck them up. And that was mighty impressive.
Oh, 100%. In every finals game, there's always one player that you don't expect to do what they do. And today it was obviously Mathurin. And Tommy, I'll give you full credit there, mate. You did call that last episode.
Thank you. I did. I also called this one to be all over in 5. But I did say Pacers would win game 3. So I'm thereabouts. But just to go back there, he did shoot 75% from the field and 66.7% from the free throw line. He was enormous, boys. He was 9 from 12. I mean, how many threes?
He hit some tough shots too.
He hit 2 from 3 from threes. Like he's enormous. And when they needed someone to step up, it was the bench. So well done,
100%.
Jeffrey.
Also, don't go too soon on because I don't actually, remembering back to what we said last week with our predictions, when you said it was going to be over in 5, I don't actually think you predicted who. We just assumed it would be OKC. You're still on with a chance here if the Pacers win the next 2.
Technically,
Tommy's
I am.
nailed it.
Technically, I
Tommy's
am.
nailed it.
We can have a
So
look.
Don't go too soon. You might have nailed
We
this.
don't want that, though. We don't want that. We want this to go deep. But
Pistol probably wants us to move on from predictions because I don't think he's predicted one thing
no,
wrong.
not
so
true.
far.
He's taking
No,
off
not
that
true.
JC.
No.
He's put the balls on. He doesn't even want to wear it.
For someone who gets paid to be a basketball analyst,
No.
I don't think he knows much about it.
Who was the one last week that said that I think the Pacers can win at least 2 games? That was me. So we can go if we want to go start bringing
Nah,
up
I'll give you that
receipts.
one, mate.
We
Give
can
you
bring
that
up
one.
receipts.
Now,
But it's still the series is still on. OKC, I think it's still the favourites to win the whole series, which is wild because the Pacers have proven they're right there now.
100%.
Yeah, and let's dive into game 3, especially. I know we could talk about game 1 and 2, but I feel like we can move on from then. It's game 3 today as we record this podcast, and Halliburton did exactly what we wanted. He was aggressive. It probably took him 4 or 5 minutes. I thought, we're not going to see this again. And then he started to put him up. And I like when he's aggressive, boys.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
What are you laughing
We
at?
have done no.
Because Pistol once again went early and he said,
We have done-
Halliburton is doing nothing. As soon as that text come through, I think he had 5 points and 4 steals or something
Straight away. He went, this is what happened with you with Kat or Tommy with Kat
No, it was him
earlier.
with Kat.
I literally said, Halliburton is doing nothing. He hadn't taken a shot in the first 5 minutes. It went steal, bucket, steal, assist. And I was like, here we go. But that's what they need. They need him to be aggressive. Even if he's struggling, it allows other guys like Mathurin to get a little bit more space just because he's in that aggressive mindset. He can't be passive. And they need to, I don't want to say it's like a game 7 type vibe here, but if they go back and win this next one, it's going to be unbelievable.
Well, and that's why the superstars are the superstars. The 2 superstars in both teams, it shows if they don't play well, the team loses. SGA today, you wouldn't say, I mean, he was still good, but you wouldn't say he had his typical SGA MVP game. You know, he needs to score 35 to 40 points for them to win. And if he doesn't, look what happens today. Because the other guys did their job. Chet played well, J-Dub played well, and the difference was in the superstar.
It is, and it's also with the bench. Like as you mentioned, the bench play was unbelievable. And again, the bench points, whoever's won that contribution the first 3 games has won the game. So the Pacers have got 2 better bench performing games than OKC. They need more from Caruso in that. We know Wiggins, Wallace has gone into the starting lineup. Hartenstein had that unbelievable game 1.
Oh, mate, you said get on the unders. Today is exactly what happened.
That's
4
what
and
I'm
3.
saying.
I know. We went earlier. You went
Yeah.
9 and 9 in the first game. I took him unders. He had 7 points at quarter time and 5 rebounds. I said, pistol. Me multi's all over before
But I've
quarter
nailed
time.
it now. I've thought this is exactly what's going to happen. But yeah, so there's so much to play out. And this series is well and truly but this is what we deserve. This is so much fun to watch.
Yeah,
Do you know
it
what-
is. It
Sorry.
truly is.
Do you know what I love about finals and, you get the best of 7 game series is the slight adjustments each game. And today we saw a very good adjustment by Rick Carlisle and he played Siakam at the 5 for a lot of the game. And that was a big difference maker.
I was shocked actually watching that because, again, they need matches up with Chet a lot of the time. The rotations are shortening ever so slightly for OKC on their bench. They just really get into Caruso and they try and bring Hartenstein in at times. But that was a masterstroke. So now it's back to Mark Dagnall to figure out what to do on the other side. But you're right, the superstars have to continue to step up. But even just the clutchness of this this Indiana team. Like Neesmith did nothing and he hits a big 3 to put them out by 6 with like 2 minutes to go. It was kind of like a nail in the coffin. So they've just got all of this confidence and Tyrese just continues to step up. This is a generational run from Tyrese, man.
Well, I think you just need to start calling him a superstar.
He is.
I know, but people out there still doubt him. This guy, they're defending him hard, but today he only needed just an inch and he just put it up. He was so efficient today. He was enormous, really, and they took their opportunities. What I like from the coaching from the Pacers is they kept their stars fresh. I don't know if you watched the last 5 minutes. SGA was exhausted, and obviously he's getting bashed all game, but Halliburton had more of a spell. Turner had more of a spell, and when they come on late, they made some massive plays. I thought Turner was enormous. I think he had 5 blocks.
He did.
And Chet played well, but down the stretch, didn't see much from Chet, did you? He was pretty quiet. He got blocked a lot, even from 3. You saw that one. So, they're managing their minutes well, and that goes back to your bench play. They really can get on the court, stay on the court, and keep them in the game. In fact, they turn the game around. Obi Toppin's another one that he almost starts. I mean, how many minutes did he have? 27. He comes off the bench, but he plays more minutes than starters like Neesmith because they get in foul trouble. They're enormous.
I've wrote them off the entire series, like all playoffs along. I thought they'd beat the Bucks. I was very confident they'd beat the Bucks.
Sorry, but you know what I'm thinking here? He's starting to jump on, so OKC's going to turn it up.
No.
OKC.
Everyone listening out there, get on OKC now because Pete's declaring the Pacers.
No, I still think OKC will get it done.
Okay, so Pacers will win.
Again, this will go down. We've spoken about it. Like the documentary around the Pacers. This improbable run is up there when the Mavs went and did it. You call it improbable. When you're in the moment, it's not improbable because you just look at them play and say, this is exactly what they deserve to be at because they just play the right way. Dallas Mavericks did this when they won their title, when they beat out LeBron in the finals, and everybody was shocked looking back on it. If they get this done, the Pacers, we are going to think the exact same of like this goes down as an all-time championship run.
It is such a well-rounded team, and obviously we didn't give them the credit before the playoffs even started about how good the whole team actually is, but now we're seeing it. And same when you look back at Dallas, their whole team, the squad, it was a really good squad. I want to
talk about it then, because the Dallas, off the top of my head, they beat Portland, a really young and hungry Portland team first, which was Brandon Roy, so that was very impressive. Then they beat the Lakers, I think, which was obviously Kobe. Then they beat OKC when it had the 3 superstars, and then they beat the Miami, the big 3 with LeBron. That there's probably still going to be tough to beat in terms of improbable championship runs, but the way that Indiana's done it in the clutch from their comebacks, that's going to hold a little bit more weight when you have to pick which ring would hold more weight.
100%. And
which would you have to pick?
And also they had Dirk, who was an MVP, multiple All-Star, one of the greatest of all time. Halliburton's not in that conversation.
No.
So
it's another good point too. So they have, but their role players, their bench players, I'd still probably take Dallas just because they went through. The guys were nearly at their, not even at their prime, but on their way up, those young superstars. But this is going to be unbelievable. I hope for the sake of what we're seeing, if the Pacers fall short, are we going to forget about this generational run?
No, you can't. This is, I'm seeing all the ratings about game 1 and 2 and how they're the lowest since the bubble. And it's kind of sickening because the Pacers are doing everything to put basketball, everything the Pacers are doing. We all love an underdog story. Both teams haven't won it. I know the Sonics won it, but
both teams haven't won it.
Yeah, OKC Thunder haven't won it. And so it should be appealing to basketball fans. But I just keep thinking in Netflix, boys, and this documentary and how they're covering both athletes that are still remaining in Halliburton and SGA. And I just think, Netflix must be licking their lips because they're guaranteed game 5 and you'd think this goes to 6-7. I mean, it has to go to a minimum 6.
OKC has to win this next one.
Oh, it has to.
But even if they lose that one, they go home, they win, then they might go on the road and win. Then you get game 7. And then you get the adjustments.
That it's actually been really fun. Like game 2, we probably expected OKC to come out and punch them in the mouth, which they did. So game 2 was a little bit tough to watch. But game 1 had the clutch, the comeback again. And this game was fun to watch. We were going back and forth. Jeff said 38 times in an hour. This game is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that's while on the tools. So if Jeff's doing
that's why we moved the podcast back because he was busy today on the tools. Hey, let's keep moving because we're going to talk about game 4 and 5 later in the show. But make or miss, boys, before we move on. Pops Halliburton's jeans. Were they a make or a miss? Did you catch them courtside?
I mean, I don't know if it can be a miss when you're like he's the Don now, right? Like he's had his moment, and his son's obviously absolutely balling out, so he can probably get away with it. I could not pull that off at all. I think you could pull that off.
I'm not flamboyant, but yeah, Pops is flamboyant. He's loud. He's got the flag. He's waving it in players' faces. So if anyone can pull it off, it's Pops.
So it's a make.
That's a make.
Make or miss?
Nah, I think it's a make. I think you can do whatever you want.
I think it's a swish as well.
What do you think Giannis would have thought if he's waving the towel in his face wearing those? Giannis would have been like,
he might have picked him up and given him a Batista bomb. Righto, let's get to our favourite segment, Let's Press. And we'll start off with Boogie Cousins. He's found himself in hot water. Can you talk to us about this, Pistol? Because we believe you're mates with his coach.
Yeah.
And you've got the scoop on all of this.
Well, it went down to the Puerto Rican Basketball League, which, by the way, is booming. It's a very, very, very strong league now.
Mitch Creek played down
Mitch
there
Creek,
as
there are
well.
a lot of Chris Golding's there. Ian Clark plays for Melbourne United. Bryce Cotton, Montrezl Harrell. The list goes on. There's some massive names. Over the last few years, it's become a real destination for players in their off seasons to go and play. Imagine that, you're just living in paradise and get to go hoop. Got an altercation with one of the fans, and it got very ugly very quickly. Walking off, he got beer and everything thrown on him. I don't know if they said people spat on him, whatever, but there's like 8 people trying to hold him down.
Oh, mate, then the rest.
It was insane. All while, so the head coach of that Puerto Rican team is the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix head coach here in the NBL. So I called him straight after. He said, I had no part of it. You could see him at the back. He was just like, all right, this has gone too far. It's you don't want to see it, right? It's malice in the palace type when you get involved with the fans. Well done, everybody, for holding him down, but it was wild.
What sparked it? Because all I've seen is the big fella go over, and when he grabs the piece, I tell you what,
He's grabbing the third leg.
I mean, that is some sort of piece just quietly. I thought he nearly knocked the second row out with that little jiggle.
That's one of the most disrespectful things I've ever seen.
Oh my God, didn't he ask him? Didn't he? What did he actually do?
I don't know what actually. Do you have what was said? I didn't look at what was said.
I took a screenshot earlier of what DeMarcus Cousins suspended for scratching balls and making heckler sniff. I mean, that's the headline.
Where is that a headline?
I wouldn't say he was scratching his balls. I thought he was grabbing his.
He's grabbing the third leg
and the rest.
I don't know what was said. Clearly, it was unhappy. And again, this is where I spoke about it last week. Basketball is a great sport where you can actually be that close to like idols, like role models, like the top of talent in the world. But then if you think you can, that justifies you to go in there and say things across the line. It just doesn't. So clearly something pissed him off. I don't know how long it was going for, but their reaction was wild. I thought Theo Pinson came in and did a really good job of trying to calm it down. But then you knew he was going to get stuff thrown at him on the way out because he was still having a little chirp back and forth. And you knew the suspension for the rest of the season was inevitable.
What do you think? I just think about these moments where we don't want to see this in sport, but Boogie has decided that he wants to turn around and he wants to chase down whoever poured beer on him. Can you imagine he breaks through? Would he actually follow through, you reckon?
Yeah, absolutely you would.
I mean, that's his career's kind of already over, but that's dangerous stuff. I mean, imagine that bloke getting one of those little fans.
Yeah, but you can't, like the malice in the palace, all of that, like you can't, as fans, like anything that happens on the floor, like between teams stays on the floor. Now, again, it started with a fan, but after that, you can't get involved.
Well, he's been suspended for the season.
Yeah,
so
which is inevitable.
But
you cannot also like retaliate like that. With the beer stuff, I'm sure that would have got taken. Like those people would be suspended as well because it's clear as day. You see a bloke just be like this. You can't hide from that. But so you just have to. It's hard to try and say doing the right way. And again, we don't know what provoked it. Clearly, it was something really, really bad.
Must have been really bad because think about all the abuse he's copped over his career because he is a bit of a hothead.
Yeah.
And he would have copped that his whole career. And for him to react like that, it must have been.
The guy's not sitting there saying, hey, you missed the free throw.
No, exactly.
There's some lines crossed. Yeah. So there's ways to handle it, but we will probably never be in that situation to understand how to deal with it. But geez, it went viral so quickly.
Oh, yeah. As I said, it was content that you just don't expect during the week. Righto, let's move our attention to some trade rumours. KD has been linked to leaving the Suns, and the teams that are in the hunt. San Antonio seems to be the firm favourites at the moment, but there's a few others. Houston, the Knicks, the Wolves, and Heat. Out of those 5, which team makes more sense in your own opinion? I'll start with you, Jeffrey.
More sense is an interesting way to phrase it.
Yeah, more sense would be Knicks. I think they need him, and I think they would take them and elevate them to the next level. But you could say that. I mean, it's Kevin Durant. He's a generational talent, so he would do that with basically any team he goes to, take them to the next level. But also, I don't really know the ins and outs of how it's all going to work because who's got the best package to offer up? At the end of the day, he needs to be traded. So someone needs to offer – they need to offer a good package to get him. And who's got the best package?
More sense is an interesting way to ask that. I thought you were going to say where would I like to see him land, which might be a separate one as well. More sense is probably the Wolves. Because they're like, you think like they're right there, right? With like Ant. If you can keep a lot of those main pieces, they'll lose Naz Reid. But if you can slot him in there, so you have Ant, KD, are they right there at the championship winner? Or it's the Houston Rockets. More sense is probably Houston because they've got enough. Because he's 36? So KD's got probably 2-3 years left in a championship window. I want to see him on the Spurs. I just don't know if that makes them win a championship next year if he gets to San Antonio.
Oh, geez, that's a pretty good team.
It'll be very, very good.
Fox, Wemby, Durant.
You've got a few young players.
Castle.
But that's what I'm looking at. I'm like, if I'm the Spurs, I'm probably thinking because we have this youth, let's probably try and get Giannis first because then we have a few more years to chase this championship. KD's 36. He's still one of the best bucket getters. So maybe KD does make sense in the Knicks then because they're right there as well, you'd think.
And a big franchise.
What about Minnesota? We know the relationship that Ant-Man has with him, and he's proven that he is the next superstar. they are missing just that one little piece we spoke about, Batman and Robin. Don't you think that'd be a nice little addition?
Yeah, but they're keeping Rudy.
Yeah, but they're going to get rid of Naz. Like you said, Naz has
Naz
been
will be
linked to the Lakers during the week.
I think they're out of those teams you said, the two teams that are right there are the Wolves and Knicks. So
Yeah.
for me,
You wouldn't be going to the Heat. You could
No,
cross
you
the
wouldn't
line.
go the Heat. Heat
Yeah.
are done for 10 years.
Yeah, and I think the Spurs might have a crack. Could you imagine a Spurs and Wemby on the court together?
Well, you got to do that, I reckon,
with
if you're the
KD,
owners. You just got to, because as we said, he is getting older. Not that he's still producing, but I'm just saying, if you look at
Who do you have to give up more for then would be the question. KD now or Giannis?
I'd rather Giannis.
You're probably going to have to give up more for Giannis because he's younger.
But
How old's
Giannis is
Giannis?
almost
32.
guaranteed. If you get Giannis, you're guaranteed to get the finals next year if you're healthy.
Well, for the next few years because of, as I said, they're still young. And we'll talk about Wemby. Wemby is about to reach his final evolution.
Oh, we'll talk about that. That's in the later segment.
So,
About
I think the Spurs would make sense for that, but I also think the Spurs were thinking long-term as well, which is why Giannis. So I'd be, if I'm New York, I'd be probably trying to go down that path, but they need a coach first, man.
Spurs don't traditionally make big moves
No, they don't.
at the trade table. So
They've also got the number 2 pick, the Spurs. That's what they're using to get one of these
and the
guys.
Suns need some picks.
But they don't need to actually, they don't have to get Dylan Harper if they don't want to. They can go out there and trade that for a Giannis type. There's going to be some fun moves to watch in the next few
There will
months.
be. And we just spoke about Giannis. I'd love to see him at the Knicks.
One of those big fish is going to have to land at the Knicks.
100%.
One of those big fish will have to land in the Knicks because they need to make a move. And as we said, though, they need a coach first.
Well, I was just about to say,
Yes.
land a coach would be nice. They're interviewing. They've had, how many interviews have
Well,
they been
they're trying to
requested? And
interview.
they've been denied a lot of access. I think Jason Kidd just got knocked back today. But they're going after everyone and they're trying to interview. If you coach, you're getting interviewed.
What do you feel like that would be? So say they've gone after Jason Kidd, who was coming
There's
the
about
other
8,
one.
man.
Quinn Snyder was the other one from the Atlanta Hawks. They denied that.
Rockets coach.
Udoka.
Yeah, Udoka.
So do you wonder when you're sitting there and maybe you're thinking, geez, that's my dream job. And then just the front office is like, nah, no, you don't get to interview for it. You'd be
fair
flat.
enough. Like if you're contracted,
Well, I understand
if you're
that.
contracted, why would
everybody
you help
moves.
another team out?
Everybody moved. Yeah, I understand, but they're swinging at the fences and every team just keeps
I
shutting the
always
door.
struggle to say his name, Budenholzer.
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 If he goes to the Knicks, I'm linking Giannis straight. Like that. Don't you reckon that's the first step?
How did that end? How did that relationship end?
I don't think it ended that bad, did it?
Didn't he gas mid-year?
Yeah, but I think it was more of like, hey, we need a new voice. I don't think it would have been horrible.
Did it
I don't-
end poorly?
I don't think Budenholzer's in a rush. He's getting paid.
I know.
But at the end
I
of
know
the
he
day,
gets paid.
like we've discussed
Hey,
on
we
this
could see it.
previously,
Yeah.
but like the star of the team always basically
Yes,
is in on
they're
the final
they're
decision.
The GM.
So if he got sacked mid-year, that might not be
I'm
on
thinking.
good terms.
I think Mike Malone is the one they've got to. I don't even think he's put his hand up for it. If so far it's just been Meadow, World Peace, and Carmelo Anthony.
Well,
So
yeah.
I'm okay. Get Melo in there.
They've
I'm
linked
your
Stephen
man.
A. Smith and everyone. Everyone's
Stephen A. Jeepers.
Jeez, I loved it. I saw a clip today of someone just pranking Stephen A. Smith. That was very funny. Very funny. We keep moving. We could sit here all day. But we'll wait for that stuff later on. Hopefully next week there's a few more, moving pieces with Durant and the rest. But boys, let's get to some fun facts. Teams that have had the most bench points in all 3 games so far have won. So there's a little fun fact for everyone listening and watching.
Do you think that now, because we've seen that the bench is more important than the superstars?
Well, going off that stat, the bench is definitely the most important part of this series. Because, like I said before,
Jeez, he
the
can't wipe the smile off his face.
Hey,
Fanny.
Hey, it's a long time though, isn't it? Like next week we could be sitting here and the bench could be huge.
And he's gone with the receipts. He's trashed the Young Fellas podcast. He said your podcast sucks.
He's calling out some bloke with 0 followers. Oh my God, you're getting it near in your head.
oh, mate, if you got 0 followers, put your name to your comment. Come on.
I know, it's weak as piss.
It
It is. Oh, burner accounts are so weak. And then put a display picture up of yourself at
Yeah, get
least.
the egg off. Get the egg off.
So there you go, boys, the bench. And the other fun fact I've got, well, it was more about last week. We spoke about will SGA break AI's record for 48 points? He didn't, but he ended up breaking the record for the most points ever in your first finals appearance for the first 2 games. We are seeing someone before our eyes right now, aren't we? And it's super impressive.
He's not even at his prime yet.
No, he's not.
And again, I think Gilbert Arenas on his show was talking about the foul baiting and all of that. He said he just understands what he has to do to score. And he went back into the archives and said anyone who averaged over 30 points in their careers, he said, has averaged more than 10 free throws a game. So he MJ did it.
Yeah, of
So
course.
he went back and with the whole list. So He just knows how to get to the free throw line. And I looked at it today. They're starting to let it go a little bit more, which is frustrating him. But he's just a really, really smart operator. And to see what he could do in the next couple of years, it's going to be fun. But the paces are all up in him, and he still just finds a way to tick the scoreboard over.
Yeah, well, the comparisons are coming through, and he's getting compared to some absolute elite company and in Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
When you're getting compared to those two, which are the two greatest shooting guards in NBA history, you're in good company.
Be careful, Devin Booker.
Oh, hang on.
We love Devin Booker. Now we get to around the league, and we start off with Wemby in China. We kept that one on the down low earlier, but he's on a 10-day physical and mental training camp at Shaolin Temple. I think that's how you say it, fellas. But he's shaved their head. He's with all the monks. This is fascinating stuff. If you've got a man that is that locked in already for next year, I'm scared. I'm scared for the league. Yeah.
This is his final evolution. He's already shown that he can score at every single level. He is one of one physically, and now he's going to be one of one mentally. He's going into all of that, just the clarity. I saw all the vision of it. Like, the league is in strife. We are actually, the world of basketball, it's over. Like, why are we rolling out competing anymore?
Pistol spot on there. It tells you a couple of things. One, he's not in the strip clubs and he's not drinking alcohol. So
what's wrong with him?
He's done.
So he's in for one hell of a year. But speaking of unusual preseason trainings, have you ever?
No, I was trying to think of that as well. I'm not sure if definitely not down the monk path, but I don't think I know anyone who's done anything too obscure like that. Like, this is just a man who's just trying to get the most out of everything that he's able to do. And like, he's a freak. He's an alien for a reason.
What about you, Tommy? Any unusual preseason practices?
Not really, mate. Not really. You put me under the spot there. We're going to keep moving. It wasn't. There's always been some unique things you do, but preseason far out. It's been 5 years ago. Paul Pierce and KG. Have you seen that one, boys? Paul Pierce and KG talking about the time they won a championship, and they sat there in the sheds till 2 a.m. until they ran out of champagne. And Paul Pierce talks about how there was another person in the locker room, and the guy goes, "Pass me a drink," and he goes, "Who are you, man?" And he thought he was KG's man, but he was just some random fan.
It would happen all the time,
there. Man. So they thought he's like, "I thought it was your boy," and in the end, it was just a random bloke. Would that be the best experience? I'd love for him to come forward and talk about it.
True. I just thought, on the top of my head just then was like, he's got to come out now and just come back on their show.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that, just like reuniting to what would have been. Imagine just calling your friends, just being like, "Hey,
that'd
you
be
will
my
not
dream
believe."
night.
Imagine just sitting there and just going, I can't really tell anyone about this, because as soon as I pick my phone up, they might go, "Oh, that's a bit weird." He just sat there and absorbed it. I wonder what kind of convo, did he add anything to the convo? He didn't really talk about that. He just said he was sitting there drinking. And imagine how pissed they would have been at 2 a.m. They said they ran out of champagne.
There would have been some wild.
I found that one. So that was a good one around the league. They do some good stuff, those boys. And the other one, you talked about the league being on notice. Well, Luzempic, have you seen that one? Luka Doncic, he is in ripping Nick already. What are we in, June?
I was not aware of the nickname. I was not aware of the nickname.
The new one going around
he
LA.
looks good. And again, this is someone who's now just locking in. I'm not jumping on the conspiracy saying that to get Luka to the Lakers was all part of a grand plan. Starting to look a little bit like the man's getting more locked in than ever and wants to get a title back in LA. That's going to be really scary. Have you seen his rookie highlights?
I have, when he was skinny, and then someone said, "Thank God for fast food." Otherwise, this guy would be cooking us. He looks like early days now.
Yeah, and he was dunking on everybody. The first step. It'll be interesting to see how that works, though, because he kind of, like SJ, figured out how to be better than everyone, slowing the game down. How does that work for him? I'm sure he'll figure it out, but geez, he looks unbelievably good.
Well, hopefully he can go fast and slow, because at the minute he was just going slow.
Yeah.
So SJ obviously has a gear change. And Big Luka, he didn't have one.
You look good, by the way. Like, your 4:30 gyms work. Like, you've since what are we, episode 9? This is episode 9, and you've come a long way.
Well, Luka's probably might have the same challenge I do. It's one thing getting fit, but the other thing is staying fit.
Yeah.
It's a long NBA season, considering the finals are still going.
Are you comparing yourself to Luka Doncic right now? Gee whiz, we need to move on. I'll tell you what.
To be fair, you both are really big deals in your respective fields. So.
Well, the PM, if you missed earlier in the show, the PM, the man that runs this country, calling out Jeffrey and his missus for a photo. We think it was just for the missus, but you think it's for yourself.
No, and the dog, apparently.
And the dog.
Yep, the big white sausage dog on the bed. That was interesting stuff. Righto, let's get into NBA Finals Game 4 and 5. Let's talk adjustments, boys, before we talk about our Cancun fund. That's we've just decreased the odds. Instead of going for 60s, we've got a $23
close.
Yeah, we have been close. And we're due. We've been due on this program for a while.
No, you hit one game 2.
Thank you. I was waiting for you to bring that up. $8.50, boys.
Yeah, that's great.
$8.50 on the Oz American Aces hub.
Did you have a bet on it, Tom?
I did. I had a little cheeky
Wait, I hit
20
game
on
1
that.
too. Yeah, I hit game 1. You hit game 2. Where were you?
Hang on. My legs of the Cancun Fund are winning.
Yeah, well, what about the single ones that you put on, the SGMs? So anyway,
Those ones, let's just move on.
check out the PointsBet app, guys. We have our specials underneath the games. They're already SGMs just cooked up for you, so you don't have to think. But we've got a Cancun Fund. We'll talk to that one after we talk about game 4 and 5. But as you know, these NBA finals are in full flight. So check out that PointsBet app with the same game multi and NBA trucker. There's nothing better. And now you can get your StatMate insights integrated in the app. It's truly a betting experience that's built different. So PointsBet, download the app now. Boys, game 4, we've seen 3 games now. It's time for adjustments. If you're the coaches, what are you expecting in game 4? Not so much 5. I think more attention for 4 right now.
I think we're going to see a lot more aggressive SGA. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to have to. I think we're going to see Chet a bit more aggressive as well. I think they'll have to put more energy into just getting the ball out of Halliburton's hands too. Like, because he's still made so many plays. He makes everyone around him better. To see how that goes, we'll talk about it. But the Mathurin piece is so interesting because when we talked about how good he was in the previous series, the late, then he just doesn't play in like the first game. So it's like they need to give this man some minutes. He's a bucket.
At home, I think he's getting minutes.
You think it's a road trip thing?
I thought game 2, the coaches, they pulled the players off about 3 or 4 minute mark when they were down 12 or 15, but nothing they haven't done before. I thought, and the way they played, you could tell they were happy just to steal the first one, rest up for game 3. And that's what it's a marathon, really. They don't need to win game 1 and 2. They just need to win game 1, 3, and there's no doubt they're planning to win
They
game
just have
4.
to, Pacers have to treat this like game 7. If they go up 3-1, like you do not want to go back to OKC all square.
OKC have to throw, like they're going to throw the kitchen sink at this game, you'd think. And with that, does that mean the starters get more minutes? Like your man, your big center off the bench,
Hartenstein.
Does he get more minutes?
No, I think he keeps sitting.
I think he does as well. I think it's
especially with
Chet
Siakam
game.
going to the 5. Like, there's no real spot for Hartenstein on the
Chet was
court,
enormous early. Like, I think you got to
like 15 in the first quarter or something.
The thing that I noticed as well late in the stretch was they just weren't they weren't kicking the ball out. How many times did you see SGA and Chet? They kind of forced it under there. They swarmed to them. If they just pop it out, they've got a couple boys just waiting for a 3. I reckon they'll watch that and go, you got to trust your teammates a little bit better down the stretch.
It's tough. It's tough because you also want your superstars to take over.
But they're so fatigued, man. And you could see they were just like, don't let him score. Yeah. They did a great job on SGA. So my eyes are, my question to you guys before I talk about my eyes and where they're peeled is, do you think SGA will respond scoring-wise? Because he was only on about 6 points during the second, wasn't he?
Nah, he will be, Pistol said it, he will be super aggressive. Like, if they're going to win the game, he needs to score 40 points.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Because
he needs to be aggressive enough to get in those positions. Right? If he has an off shooting night, but still the aggression allows everyone else to get some cheaper shots.
100%.
Whether it's Isaiah Joe coming in, all of that, he needs to be ultra aggressive.
Yeah, 100%. And if he is on early, then the defense sucks in, and then he can kick it out like Tommy's saying. Trust his teammates sitting on the perimeter, and that is the beauty of Halliburton. That's his game in general.
This is why I could never be a coach though, because I always talked about. So they have a 3-headed monster, right? If you talk, so SGA, Chet, and J-Dub. Mm-hmm. You should be able to find, I know they're deep enough and I think their bench is great, but there should be a moment in the entire game where you have 2 of those 3 on the floor at the same time all the time. Like, there doesn't have to be a moment where you just have one of them on. You should always have 2 of your 3 superstars on at all times. Then you stagger the rest with the other one. And that way you're going to continue the scoreboard ticking over. I know your bench has been great, Scott, you hear, but in 4 games' time, well, for them, if they lose 2 more, there is no tomorrow. So this is where your superstars need to step up.
Got an interesting one. Game 2, they put up 36 3-pointers and they hit 14. But game 3 today, they only had 22 attempts and they hit 10. I love me 3-point market, but it feels like they just weren't even attempting them. And I reckon that's a little bit of the key for them. They need to get some more shots up from 3.
100%. J-Dub multiple times today turned down open 3s to drive into a contested lane. So, like, if he hits that shot and then you can consistently hit that 3-pointer, it spreads the floor open and it allows easier buckets inside as well.
Lou Dort hit 3 of 3 off the bat. So, like, they need everyone else to. Yeah. The 3-point line's the difference as well.
100%.
Neesmith hits that big one down the stretch. So, man, the more we talk about it, the more it's an exciting. It's such a fun series. I don't know why people aren't apparently watching the first couple of games. Like this, my eyes are peeled. I'm glad you brought up eyes because I still don't have my sunnies. But this is a very
Now, what have you been asking for them? Or I was
Here
waiting
we
for him to
go.
mention you. What have you been asking for, King?
I've been asking for the Soho cherries for about 9 episodes.
Well, guess what? I've passed these on to the great man. I want you to try them on. Partner, just pass in the box. Open them up, King.
Here we go.
And have a look.
He's giving me nothing.
We've decided to give you a hat instead to cover up the car parks, King.
You had to Caruso down the end.
There you
You're
go. We've got
kidding.
an end of financial
You're
sale
kidding.
coming up next week.
You're
So you
kidding.
get a free hat in the first 48 hours only at some part of that
fucking
sale. So you get a hat pistol and you can head online and use
Tell
the
you
discount code
just
ACES.
quietly, I'm not upset with the hat.
I'm only joking. I stole the cherries off you. There you go.
I thought we were getting the toffees as well. Put them all in.
now he's not happy.
Oh, the hat forwards. There you go. I thought you'd. I thought
Now
he's
I've cooked me hair, man.
How's that one? There's a nice. I was
looks
waiting
sharp.
for him to ask. He's been peppering us online about the. Leave him on, mate. Leave him on as we close the show. While I read out our Cancun fund, that's what you'll be looking like if you go to Cancun. Cancun fund. $23. We've all picked a leg, and we've already spoken about this pre-show, and we're happy with it. So SGA, do we think he will respond, and do you think he'll score 35 points?
Yes.
Well, that's why I put him in. He has to be aggressive.
I think his like actual line's like 32.5, right? So 35 gives you a little bit more juice. They're going to have to get it out of him.
He'll get it.
Nembhard, 2 threes. He got in foul trouble today, but he just needs to stay out of foul trouble to stay on the court.
We, throughout this entire 9 episodes, we love a Nembhard 2 threes.
He does.
We love a
We
Nembhard
need
2
him to
threes.
put a few more up.
Yeah. No, he's got a beautiful stroke.
Oh, yeah. Did you see the step back in game one? It doesn't
lovely.
get enough talk about. Like,
Dude, that was
they're down 6. He just, mate, that was
on
one,
SGA.
that doesn't get mentioned at all. He
Because
was
of
an-
Tyrese's shot.
I know, but he got him. I think someone else hit one before that in the corner. Unbelievable. J-Dub 2 steals. It goes
Another
in.
one we liked.
He hasn't
should've-
had 2 steals in 2
Did you
games.
watch today, though, in the fourth
been
quarter?
unlucky.
He got a tap and they
he
didn't
got
give
a
it.
tap. He rolled on the ground. They were fighting for it, and it fell out of bounds, and they won
Siakam's
possession,
leg.
but it didn't count as a steal.
Now, your man, Siakam, 2 threes. He's been enormous, but hasn't.
You owe us one because we've been holding Oz
Yes.
American Haces up together.
So that goes in.
I do think that Siakam's going to get some open opportunities, but yeah, like Pacers actually tend to shoot the 3 ball, whereas in OKC they're a little bit more reserved. So I think
I think
Siakam.
a lot of attention is going to be on Tyrese, and
Yep.
your man's going to get a couple. And I hope
100%.
that I want to see the text. Jeff Goebbels just being like, "I told you so," because they don't happen often, but I really enjoy them.
I'd rather you say Siakam needs to start shooting, and then they always respond after
Yeah,
it.
that's true. We both
And the
do.
last one is Matherin for 10. You get about $2 for that. Pistol wasn't too happy with that in the
No,
free.
He has been a bit streaky,
Well,
but
if you guys said Tyrese will get a lot of attention, someone has to score, and this guy's a scorer. He had 27 today.
was in form.
Say it, Jeff. Say who we thought we should have had in there, just so we can have receipts.
For the
I'm happy to have
receipts. Okay.
I'm happy to have a bet with you on the side.
We do think Toppin is going to have a big game.
If Toppin outscores him, I'll give you 3 pairs of Ricks each. What do I get back, though? What do I get back?
I don't have much off the top of my head to give him.
What about a nice dinner? We'll take him for a nice
actually,
dinner
you know
somewhere.
what? You went to that. Why did you go to that? That's one of my favourite restaurants. You name the restaurant.
I went to Victor Churchill and give you that tip.
Can you get us in? Though?
I'm not buying a $365
He just called the
steak.
Prime Minister. He'll get us in.
Is that what it is?
I had a $365 steak.
Well, lock that in.
No.
I swear to God.
Lock that in. There you go. Obi Toppin v. Matherin. Most points. If Matherin scores more, I'll have a nice. I think they're voted top 10 in the world. I think they're
unbelievable.
number 11 steak joint in the world. This
Jeepers.
place. Unbelievable. So I'll be
Matherin
looking.
versus
Can you
Toppin.
book that in now? Because Matherin's outscoring Obi Toppin. He'll be hitting the boards, but he ain't going to be scoring unless he gets 10 alley-oops. So that's the easiest bet I've ever had with you boys. There you
I'm
go.
nervous now. It's actually, I mean, if he gets more of an opportunity, he's more of a scorer. We actually should get a little bit more juice though, because it's
You're
probably
getting 3 pairs
it's
of
not
Sunnies.
it's
They're
not
valued
head
at
to
200 a
head.
pop. That's $600 each. I'm getting $300 Scotchy.
Pistol, don't worry about it, brother. We're winning.
Yeah.
I'm not even worried
He looks
about
a
it.
bit nervous.
No.
He looks very nervous.
Because everything he says goes the other way, so
Yeah,
we're
that's why
cooked.
You want me to back him
You're cooked
up?
for backing him in. But as we said, check out the PointsBet app and check out the Oz American Aces hub so that you can check out that Cancun fund and our SGMs. Boys, that's all I've got. Cracker show. This series, we'll be back next week. We said we're not sure when we're going to finish up the show, but we'll finish up as the season finishes up.
Put it out, and then we will be back next week to not wrap up because this will be going to 6.
Game.
It's going to 7.
7.
This is going
Well,
to
at least
7.
6, yeah.
And the last thing I'd like to say, and we should say this throughout the show, but continue the comments. We're loving them. If you think someone's opinion's horrific, like the bench chat, get in there. We love the banter. We're always playing around here.
Send videos in.
and
Put your
send
name to the comments. You cowards.
Put your name out there so we can get stuck in. But if you're right, we can obviously support you. And on the YouTube, keep the comments coming. We really love it. We're loving the community we're building here. And yeah, we're not going to go anywhere soon. So thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Aces NBA show, powered by PointsBet. We'll see you same time next week right here on Oz American Aces. Cheers.
We got a code red. The egg has flown the nest. We have lost Alpha.
Not gonna happen, buddy. Now that's built different, just like the PointsBet app.
This season, check out PointsBet's NBA Bet Tracker. Bet on NBA markets and follow them live in the PointsBet app.
Damn, you're strong.
That was a close one, mate.
PointsBet. Built different.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.